begin the QB Power Hour webinar series. The QB Power Hour is a free bi-weekly webinar series for accounting professionals presented by Matthew Fulton and Dan DeLong, who are very passionate about the industry, QuickBooks, and apps that integrate with QuickBooks. You can find out all the details about the webinar series at qbpowerhour.com. So without further ado, here's Matthew and Dan.
There they are.
Dan, you gave me top billing, man. That's so cool. Thank you.
That's right. And if you're looking at the slide from left to right, you're first there.
Woo.
Appreciate
It's my good side is why I did it that way. So
That's right.
good morning, everybody.
I can't say it's alphabetical, but either way, we're all friends here. Well, welcome everybody to another QB Power Hour. Happy Tax Day. So we appreciate and certainly understand if some of you can't be joining us here because you are heads down, elbows deep into the tax deadline, either doing the filings or filing the extension is probably more apropos for the day. But today we're going to be talking about some Intuit QuickBooks updates, product updates, and also fielding some questions and from our more popular posts on our Facebook group. So let's get started here. Always a fun session. We try to do these quarterly to make sure that people are up to date on the Intuit shenanigans or goings on at the company we know and love. My name is Dan DeLong, owner at Danwith and School of Bookkeeping at Intuit. Really co-hosting today as well as over at the workshop Wednesdays at School of Bookkeeping. Appreciate you joining us today, Matthew.
Hello, everybody. I am Matthew Fulton. My friends call me Spot. I am the owner of Parkway Business Solutions, the creator of the QB Community Live, the Facebook group. I do a lot of project work, a lot of work with app companies when they're trying to integrate with the API, and a lot of workflow stuff. So, as always, happy to be here. And one more day, folks. You're almost done. Just a couple more hours, and it's going to be pretty awesome.
The end is nigh. Maybe not the best way to say that today. A little bit about the QB Power Hour. It's every other Tuesday. That's why it just happens to fall today on tax day at noon Eastern. We are not eligible for live CPE, but or the AI generated Blake. I'm not sure if that was really Blake at the beginning, but maybe it is. I don't know. We'll have to ask Blake when you see him at Scaling or something. But through Earmark, there is CPE available for the Power Hour. You can always check out our channel there. And if you missed CPE, or if you attended an episode and you still want to get some CPE, you can take the quiz over at Earmark. Our channel there, we have about 6 of our prior QB Power Hours there available there for CPE, and this one will be likely in the next week or so. Keeping Q&A, if you have specific questions, topic that we're talking about today, please put Q&A, especially if it is a want to make sure that we can see it. Sometimes we can address it live, but sometimes we need to follow up. Q certainly helps with that. If you have general comments or chatting type of things, you have the chat as well, and we also have the handouts, which I believe I gave you the link to put in there. My helper is not behind the scenes today. He's at a doctor's appointment, so we're running on a little bare bones. And of course, we had some technical difficulties right before going live. We will get the posted there, and we're also seeming to have some challenge with the YouTube live stream. So lots of things to deal with while we do this live. I did want to do a shout out. It looks like the top 100 ProAdvisors list was released today, and I saw some familiar faces there, or familiar names. There is no faces on a list, but wanted to congratulate everyone who was nominated and selected for this year's top 100 I look forward
Congratulations.
to that's great to see some new faces. And that's I took a nod from Matthew, actually, and wanted to not be part. Yeah, I didn't want to apply this year because I wanted to make room for all of the great new faces that we're seeing in this community here. So we all our own worth, and so it was. We want to see other folks as well. We do have a Power Hour store. You can always check that out there on Printify. But what we're going to be talking about here today is some QB and QuickBooks and Intuit updates. We'll unpack that. We will a little bit about desktop. Wow, there's something to talk about with desktop. I forgot to put them in the slides, but we'll talk about it. So please keep your honest, Matthew, and make sure that we talk about a few things with desktop. And then we'll talk about some of the Facebook group posts that have gotten some pretty good traction on our Facebook groups as well. So our first polling question is, what version do you use? As a QuickBooks Online, desktop, or both? So Matthew,
I'd like to ask this question. People may be noticing we're asking it frequently here and there. We're doing it on purpose because it's interesting to see what the trends may be happening over time. So there is some madness behind the scenes, long run for some of that as you see it. We're interested to see what people are doing. And I'm like 99% QuickBooks Online. 1%, you know who you are, person. That is desktop that we're still supporting and such. And then I do a lot of migrations from desktop to online now too, which is a lot of fun actually.
I saw a note in there that my voice keeps going in and out. Do you hear anything, Matthew?
I've been hearing it too. So actually I'd like to ask, is that for both of us or is it just Dan because he's got that super bolsterous voice? I can't get that low.
Just Dan. Okay. Sorry about that. All right. Yeah. So I had to update my Macintosh and get all sorts of new quote unquote improvements about sound and video and things. So I did put on voice isolation, thinking that it would drown out any kind of background noise. Is it any better now?
It is. It seems like it's better.
Okay. So I'm on standard. So much for voice isolation. We won't be doing that anymore. Now we have audio troubleshooting to our list of things that we do on the QB Power.
Dan, I'm going to be coming to visit you pretty soon, so we could spend some time working on just your Mac. I know I'm a PC guy, so it works perfectly for me, but we can get your Mac to work like a PC. So
yeah, you can always tell a Mac guy, you just can't tell him much.
Okay. We got poll-wise, both still pretty heavily, which is what I would expect.
Yeah, and a mere 5% for solely QuickBooks Desktop. So we definitely want to make sure that we include some desktop discussion here. All right. So let's talk about some of the QuickBooks Online updates. If you want to talk about the client access roles?
Yeah, so this one specifically has to do with, for us accountants. So when you've got different team members, you now have better, they say, granularity of how you want to provide access to different company, like within your books as well as other companies' files. You can really clearly define what people can do or not. So you can make it easier for people to either be able to create, edit, delete, or just view, as well as some of the later stuff, of course, the pay and approval aspects of it. So instead of it being just, the way they're laying it out is a little bit different now in comparison before, where like you clicked one thing and just auto gave everything. Now you can really finesse it. And then there's different access across, like the ability to access your inventory, lists. Budgets is really important. When you think about like payroll reports and budgets, well, I've had quite a few times with business owners where they don't want other people to see that stuff because it's a sneaky way to see what other people get paid or what the owners are making. So there were hard ways to try to hide that information or not provide access to that. And this is now going to provide a little bit better control over that part of it for sure.
Now, I wasn't sure and wanted to clarify, is this for all versions of QuickBooks Online or solely QuickBooks Online Advanced that you saw this in?
I believe this is specific for QuickBooks Online Accountant. For our team is what they had been saying on the article part of it itself.
Got it. Which your books in QBOA Accountant is on advanced per se. I would be curious if going into some of my advanced clients, if this is certainly an option for a lot of advanced, at least they tease you with it, give you these options to like you can pretend to uncheck them, but you actually can't.
Exactly.
But it does give you an idea of what it is, what the roadmap or what the future looks like for user permissions. Still not on it's getting there. I love this view, create, edit, delete, and giving the flexibility to do those things. I just had a migration from desktop to online, and to your point of payroll, they ran their payroll out of a specific register in the operating account, and then they got the payroll account that they were running everything out of, and they didn't want to have people access to that particular register. Unfortunately, that's still an all or nothing type of thing. If you have access to one bank register, you have access to them all, even in advance. But anytime that there's a gap between desktop and online, Intuit is hopefully not hopefully, but eventually is wanting to close that gap so that you can essentially do the same things in desktop as you can with online.
Yeah. And I guess one thing I should add on to that is it's not fully available across all company files yet, because I was actually just trying to go and pull up one of my sample company files and maybe show it real quick. But of course, the ones I've got you never have the features in the one you want to have it in yet. But I digress. So this one though, tags. This is pretty big.
Yeah, this has been an ongoing saga, I guess it's probably the best way. I'm still seeing some notes of people, my sound still breaking up. Is that what you're still hearing?
Yeah, it was breaking up a bit. You could just double check maybe your Zoom setting also, because your Zoom may have changed if it's got
same. Okay, yeah, it seems to be the same as far as what it is. It may be this headset, which was supposed to be the super headset, the sounding thing, and I don't have my AirPods to switch over to.
Anybody else notice how funny it is? As soon as we start to complain about it, it gets perfect. It's like when you have a problem with any program. There's gremlins
it's like
it's time to hide again. Okay.
And on your cell phone is everybody can hear perfectly. Can you hear me now? And that it's whatever you say after that. All right.
Love it.
Well, let me just turn off this.
Okay.
This one here, and
so while he's doing that, what we're talking about, most people may be familiar already with QuickBooks Online, the fact that the tags have now gone away. Surprise. And the question became, what are you supposed to do with this tag information if you were using it? I had actually reached out to somebody into it a couple months ago, was asking like, what are people going to be able to do or not do? They create this process to be able to take and migrate tags over to a custom field. And my question becomes, when they did this, they added the ability to have a custom field on every single level, basically. And other ones, they bumped up one, I believe, except for advanced and such like that, because you already had plenty there. Am I thinking right, Dan?
Yeah. It was funny because I was thinking back when tags first came out, I was in the same place that I am today talking about back in Florida. It was funny. It's become full circle. But let's talk a little bit about the timeline.
Is that Leo DiCaprio, dude?
Yes. Oh, I forgot to put the gift.
There's room for him on the door. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was Kate saying, "I'll never let you go."
Okay.
But we got to let go of tags because of this timeline. So we're in, so custom fields where the expanded functionality started St. Patrick's Day. So we're in this point of March 17th through May 15th, where you want to migrate your tags. And we'll talk a little bit about that process. And tomorrow on the workshop, we're going to do a little bit more deeper dive discussion about this migration process. But you migrate your tags to custom fields. We just have it in this window. Now, I can't confirm or deny what's going to happen on May 16th as to whether or not you can migrate them or not, because on May 16th, tags become read-only. So I would assume that deadline of May 15th to migrate your tags to custom fields is a hard stop. I
plan on it.
Yeah. I would plan on that. So if you're using tags and you want to migrate them to custom fields, you have 1 month now to do that.
So, Dan, I know that you're going to do a deeper dive on the workshop Wednesdays. Yeah. How does it work, though? So what if you're using multiple tags on a transaction, but you only have one custom field? When we talk about pros and buts, okay. That is a but. You can only assign one tag or one custom field essentially per transaction. So that is that's a side effect of this whole process. So there is a link there to this Intuit article, and I'll bring that up. Murph just put another good one in for the chat for Insightful Accountant as well. I'm going to copy that and paste it over to the live. Yeah, thank you, Murph. You're the man. All right, so this is the process of migrating your tags. But basically, tags are being discontinued. And just one thing to keep in mind about tags, it was something that was assigned to on the transaction level, not on the line item detail. So that leaves a bit of a challenge to try to figure out what to do with this. And we can only speculate as to why, but typically when features are discontinued, it's typically because there is non-usage, right? And then this is what happens when they discontinue features. They find out how many people were really relying on that feature. Aren't they creating their own graveyard, honestly, by doing it this way all the time? Because if you think about it, I truly never dove in and did a whole lot with tags after getting burned by the classes thing so long ago. That they shrunk it down, you had to change it over if you were going to use more classes. Tags it seemed like it was somewhat of a replacement, and it just never really made the most sense to me. If they do this and they're always sunsetting these functions like that, I don't think people adopt the new features as quickly because you get worried. Do I want to adopt this new feature only for it to go away? Yeah. And that's a legitimate concern, but it's a catch-22. If you don't adopt it, it will go away. Yeah. And I think we look at some of the new services like the QuickBooks bill pay service that was launched. I'm a little hesitant to dive full both ends in the deep end of the pool of that, because I don't want to be the guinea pig of this feature, especially when there's real money involved of a money movement. Tags, a little different. That's a feature. There's no, I'm not harming any relationships. That's a good point to layer. By not adopting that feature. But in to give them credit, at least they did try to think this through. It's not perfect, but it does, I think, lay some groundwork for them to actually bring back the fully functional things that are getting removed here.
by the way that they're doing it. So what's happening is they're replacing it with a custom field, because on the surface, that is essentially the same thing that a tag was, assuming that one thing that you're assigning just one tag to to the transaction, right? And they're adopting a QuickBooks Online Advanced feature in this custom field, right? Drop downs is a custom field that you can only specify for in advance, right? You can only define that custom field as a drop down in advance. So they are allowing all other lower versions plus Essentials and even Simple Start to take advantage of this option, which also then unlocks to those other versions the ability to create other custom fields with that drop down capability. So it doesn't have to be just for tags. Matthew.
Major timeout here. What that also means, I was waiting at first to be like, oh, cool. That means in some of these other ones, we'll have a custom field we could access through the API, through different programs. That means this new added custom field is not accessible through the API. So you can't use it through third-party apps. You won't be able to access it.
More than likely, yeah. I would imagine that's not the case. You still have access to those first three, with Essentials and Plus, but the ones that are definable are off limits so far.
Okay.
So I wanted to show. Oh, can you hear this?
Yep. Oh, wait.
Nope.
You'd have to click in and then. When you did you share audio?
I did, but with everything that I've done with the audio, I may have turned it off. Let me see here. Share computer sound. It's on mono. Let me just try it again here. Or maybe there's no audio. I don't know.
Murph is saying regarding the new permissions, I'm guessing that we will see QBO expansion of the new role settings to be much closer to the expanded version found within Intuit Enterprise. Yeah, I would agree there.
So when you access the tags from the gear, there will be an option there to select migrate tags to custom fields. And then when you do that, then it's going to give you the option to name whatever the field might be. You can change it to tags. And then what it's going to do is it's going to take every individual tag that you have. One thing that you could do in QuickBooks with tags is to make a tag group, but it on the bottom level of the tag group, that's what it's going to put that in as a custom field drop down. So it's only going to allow you to, again, to Matthew's point, create one or associate one tag per transaction. Now you could, if you're in Essentials or Plus, you could take up those other, if you're not using those other custom fields, you can create essentially a tag 1, tag 2, tag 3, and then create your own tags in that tag list in those custom fields and then have multiple tags. But again, what are you going to be able to do with that? Not much yet.
Can I steal the share from you real quick? And
yeah.
Okay. See if I can. If you like pina coladas, here we go. Boom. Share. All right. So I just created a.
While he's bringing that up, is my audio any better?
All right. Should be showing you my QuickBooks Online right now. Yep. I just created 2 quick little tags in this as an example. Like you said, top gear icon, go to your tags, pulls up this area. You can then click on migrate tags to custom fields. This is then going to show up everything you've got. It's going to list all your different tags. I just created the 2 of them. And then you can choose basically, so it's got it set up here, choose a type here, what you want to use it for. All the stuff like you would normally do, like Dan said, for QBO Advanced, the type of areas you want to use everything for. So transaction will be across everything. Customer would be only customer or vendor, so forth. Hit save.
Important note, if you're not using advanced and you migrate your tags, it's only going to be accessible on transactions. It's not
Good point.
It's not something that you're going to be able to assign to the customer or the vendor or the project. That is something in this article that lays that out pretty well. And so I'm going to share that again.
Okay.
There we go.
So
Make sure I do the right one. All right. Yes. This article was linked in the handouts as well as the replay page that we have. And this is what I was talking about here. Simple Start, Essentials, and Plus is a drop-down list, but only can be used on transactions, whereas in Advanced, you have transactions, customers, vendors, and projects to be able to use that on. You will have, as somebody mentioned, the up to 100 options. And I thought that the lower levels of QuickBooks, Simple Start, Essentials, and Plus had a limit on the number of tags or tag groups, but I may be confusing that with classes and locations of Plus being 40, but they may have just removed that. But you only will have 100 maximum in the dropdown. Still only going to be able to choose one of them. So you may modify your dropdowns to incorporate some of those additional tags in the tag groups if you wanted to.
that's smart.
It's just essentially that's what's happening, is that all your tags are going as one drop down on one custom field. So then it talks about in these common questions at the bottom, this is a really cool chart in this article, which reports support custom fields. And this is just in general, not in this tag issue, but in the grand scheme of things, this is a pretty cool chart to be able to see which reports support custom fields just in general. And as we do a quick scroll down here, you can see that Advanced checks all the boxes. So that does give a nod to Advanced as far as adding those custom fields. But you can see and look at any report that's in here and whether or not a custom fields, i.e. your migrated tags, will actually be usable on those reports. So down here at the bottom is the really sad part of all this. Can I create a profit and loss report by custom field? Right now, the answer is no. So that was the advantage of tags, I think, in the grand scheme of things, is that you could tag transactions on the transactional level and then run a profit and loss by tag. But you cannot do that after this migration because custom fields does not allow that. So what about classes? No. Okay, why don't I migrate my tags to classes? No, you don't have that option either. All right. Can you add them in the bank feed and with rules? No. So there's a lot of no's here, but that doesn't mean that it's no tomorrow, right? So this may be laying the foundation to take care of that in the future with increased functionality. Can you migrate your tags to custom fields replace on historical transactions? No. So,
which is why. So what's interesting, right? The reporting wise, it says that the reporting will still be available. I think it was for another year. But
3 years.
After that,
the date range here is, I always get confused with these dates and years, but May 15th, 2028, you'll be able to view tags and generate reports for historical transactions. Okay. After May 15th, 2028, the ability to view tags and generate reports will no longer be available.
That's reasonable.
The way it is up till today will continue that way until, with tags anyway, until May 15th of 2028.
Dan, can you grab the URL that you're on for that real quick and post that into the
I can.
chat? Thank you. And for those that are saying that their screen is black, sorry to hear that if that's happening. What you can do is, because I do watch Facebook as well live there for questions, comments, I added a link there. Of course, we want you here, so forth, but feel free to join over to Facebook, and I will bring your comments in and share with everybody else, just in case you're having any kind of a challenge like that. And thank you for bearing with us on some of these nuances.
All right.
It's being taxing today.
So these are the yeah buts with that. So appreciate the Golden Girls reference. So it's historical transactions are not affected. So it's not going to go back and put your custom field back on your historical transactions. And as Matthew astutely pointed out, because this is a drop down, you cannot use something like Sassant or some kind of third party to go back and bulk add these custom fields to those historical transactions either. So womp womp on that. Reporting is going to be an issue, right? So you're not going to have this no PL by tag, but you will have historical profit and loss by tags. That ends up being you end up having two kinds of reports if during this transition period. And then reporting by custom field is going to differ by version. And it's not an advanced custom field in that regard that you can define all fields as custom field. You can either choose the text and number option or the drop down when you're creating the custom fields, but you can't choose the date option, which is fourth option, or you can't specifically call it a number, which in advanced allows you to do a little bit greater flexibility with numbering filtering.
Yeah.
Can't migrate it to a class, and you can't add it to the bank feed. Nice try. It's something. It's not just they're turning off the feature, right? So they tried to throw a bone, and they did add some additional functionality. So even if you're not using tags here in Simple Start, Essentials, and Plus, you do have a drop down as an option for custom fields. The people that weren't using tags in those lower versions be like, why did this occur? Now, all right, that's tags. Talk a little bit, Matthew, about automatic matching transactions.
Yeah. So there's two things. There's a couple different things going on within the banking area. They are currently working and testing out improvements to the bank feed area and the way things are laid out. But the biggest thing that's really come out right now is this automatic matching transaction concept. So what this is going to be doing is when you're using more and more of the Intuit QuickBooks Online features, what I mean by that is the bill pay, the payments, and the payroll, they're starting to automatically match transactions since it should already know those details. Now, it will only match if it has three pieces that all align. So it's got to be the date, the name, and the amount all have to be the same. Otherwise, it won't do an auto match. But the goal is to have it set up to where if you turn this on, and that's a major caveat, if you turn it on, it will go in and auto match the pieces for you. When they do that, you can still in the bank feed go to the categorized area, and you'll now have the ability to see all of the auto matched transactions. So you can still undo them at any point in time if you want to. So you're not really stuck. This concerns me, right? It's kind of like when auto rules first came out, or the auto add rules, it just became a nightmare. So the auto matching, when it works great, I think it'll be cool, but I am a little concerned at the beginning. Because what if you have multiple people with the same paycheck? I know it's supposed to match three things, but it happens all the time.
Yeah. And, with is this only for these three options for bill pay, payments, and payroll?
Yes. Yeah. It's the functionality. that's the ones they're saying that they will work with. Will it expand in the future? I'm expecting it probably would. There are some other caveats that it said that depending on the financial institution that you're working with, if they don't have like unique IDs inside of the transaction lines, it still may not match them perfectly, but it is their transactions they're matching with themselves, which makes sense.
Yeah, and I believe they're able to detect something in that downloaded transaction that they're not able to for other transactions, like your Slack membership, subscription, those types of things that don't necessarily come down. They can add something to that transaction so that they can see it on the way back. It's kind of like a boomerang effect of those particular transactions, so they can see a little bit more detail and do something with it.
So not to get too nerdy, because when it comes to bank feeds, it's an area I've spent a lot of time on. Hidden behind the scenes in like the actual bank feed, there's extra data that we never see. Even when you download like a .qpo, .ofx file, CSV file, there's other numbers that sequentially order them. And that's how, when you upload transactions, if you try to upload the same transaction set twice, it will actually eliminate them automatically. There's aspects of that you wouldn't see as part of it. And then Kim made a really good point that what they're doing with it, though, is they will turn on automatically, and you may need to go and turn it off.
Yeah.
So if you're seeing stuff that's there, it's like automatically being added, you're not seeing it, go check that out for sure.
So I do suspect that, appreciate that there is an option to opt out and not do it automatically, especially if it has undesired consequences. Whoops. So anything you want to talk about here?
The payroll paycheck stuff, basically the same kind of a concept. This one I feel a little bit better about. I don't know why, but I just do. Because it is so much easier for it to just line up the paychecks and have everything set up. The payroll tax payments is nice, but it draws a very important thing. I hope you're reconciling your payroll liabilities minimum every month, right? So we've always set it up that we prefer taxes to be paid immediately right when the payroll is ran, which nowadays they're pulling the money for that anyways. Actually, doesn't that go into effect this month, Dan? Or was it? I think maybe it was.
Sorry, I was answering a question.
I always like to wait until I see you typing, looking away, so I can ask a question. I feel it's perfect. It's a really good friendly partner thing to do there. So they were setting up in payroll where they will impound your payroll taxes immediately.
Yeah.
So that way they ensure. Okay. So they are already doing
it.
I thought so. I thought that had already started. And by setting
the opportunity to earn money on the float, I think that is that's likely why they turned it on right away.
In the overdraw charges. Oh, yes. By having it all set up to where it's all taken the same day, it should make it easier to reconcile your payroll liabilities like immediately. Usually, that's what we've always done. Put a 1 in the comments if you love reconciling payroll. Put a 2 if you hate it.
I'm going to say that we're not going to see a lot of 1s here. All right. Some news about the Intuit Enterprise Suite. This is not the QuickBooks, the desktop enterprise, but I want to talk about some of the things that you noticed there, Matthew.
Yeah, so I was grabbing this. I found this section in one of the emails was coming out from my sales rep, because they're continuing to evolve and make things to enhance it. The thing I really like best and most excited about is for Intuit Enterprise, it's the intercompany transactions. So I'm working with this company from Guam and Saipan. They've got multiple entities, and there's so much back and forth where they're paying this bill for that one, they're sending money back and forth, that this ability to intercompany transfers will really help speed that up. So now you can do all this stuff directly from the bank feed or the expense form of the bill. So instead of having to go, right now I'm basically doing it with two browsers open with one kept on each one. So we're doing them both sides at the same time so something doesn't get missed. Makes it a lot easier to do it all inside the one dashboard, the one place. Ability to do forecasting, profit and loss down to the dimensions. As a quick reminder, dimensions are like separate class lists that you can have multiple dimensions on transactions. So you could have a dimension would be different regions, it could be different salespeople, it could be a whole bunch of different stuff. And then you can customize your workflows as well as the workforce management updates. So the paycheck correction for closed quarters. So that's all going to be in IES as well, which is should be pretty interesting how that works. I haven't played with some of this stuff yet, though.
Yes, and Mary in the chat, asked the question that we're all wondering: is when are accountants and ProAdvisors going to get access to be able to play around with some of this stuff? And right now, that is, ask my magic 8-ball. Answer unclear. Ask again in probably 6 months.
So I don't know if and when that will happen, because I've even asked for it, haven't been able to get a hold of one for myself. And Lynette, we are specifically talking about the online version of Intuit Enterprise Suite instead of not the desktop version. Yeah, it's tough.
And I think we're still in the honeymoon phase of Intuit Enterprise Suite. Intuit is still probably trying to figure out the whole sales cycle, because it is a multi-conversation type of discovery, figuring out what people actually need. I would just because it has the word enterprise in it doesn't mean that all of your desktop enterprise clients are a good fit for it.
Correct.
I think at this point, it's the entities that are online already that have multiple entities and some heartache about that are right now a better fit for Intuit Enterprise Suite than somebody on QuickBooks Desktop that has multiple desktop files that they might want to. Now, that may not be the case, right? Depending on their workflows, there's no one size fits all for whether they're a good fit for it or not. It's really just a matter of understanding what struggles they have and whether they would be addressed with some of these things. One thing that I'm a little leery about with Intuit Enterprise Suite is, again, all of the things that make Intuit and working in QuickBooks Online great, having payroll and bill pay and all of these integrations, because they can take those integrations to the next level, that's putting all of your eggs in one basket. If one of those eggs goes sour, that could potentially spoil the entire basket.
I have to add real quickly, Rachel's watching online. She said, I love reconciling anything. Of course she does.
Okay, so let's ask our next poll question. Would you use the automatic matching feature? Yes, no, or I'm going to wait.
Yeah. I should put on there only when Dan and Spot say it's okay to.
That's right.
Yeah. Right. So desktop updates. Hey, Dan, don't forget to talk about the desktop updates.
Okay, good. Thank you. Yeah.
Got you back, bud.
So I noticed this the last time I did a desktop migration is now you're going to have some choices of what you want to bring over. So you can choose to migrate only accounting data or only payroll data, or you've got your lists and balances as well as everything. So you can now start to get a little granular on the kind of data. You still don't have the option to choose a date right there on the migration screen and choose that date, because there's a lot more that goes into that than just choosing a date and time. But you can now choose migrating only just the accounting data if they're going to do payroll elsewhere, or if they're just doing payroll and you want to keep it separate, you can certainly now do that as well. A couple other superficial things with QuickBooks is now.
Real quickly, though, before
Go
you
ahead.
jump off that, just to close this one out, I found confusing on this is when I dove in deeper to try to get more information, it was also talking about if you've got a disparate QuickBooks Online payroll and you still have the desktop stuff and you want to get the stuff to all match together, they started to explain like this round tripping situation. I think the point there was if you had QuickBooks Desktop, you were using payroll for a while there, but then you got set up a whole different standalone QuickBooks Online payroll, and then you had data there. How do you make it to where your books actually has all the payroll stuff inside of it also? Is that part of the functionality of this, or?
I always thought I was look at it from the perspective of whatever's in the desktop file will go out to QuickBooks Online.
Okay.
And thus, the desktop file is the source of truth. If you are using QuickBooks Online payroll with your desktop, which is a possibility, and you can export those transactions into QuickBooks Desktop. Those transactions already exist, but the payroll's not set up. That accounting data is there's no need to combine the two, right? At that point,
Perfect.
you could, at that point, I imagine you could migrate your accounting data into your QuickBooks Online payroll, but then that's going to be a little bit weird. I remains to be seen there. That sounds like a mess waiting to happen.
I was worried about it, so we'll report back maybe a little later on it. So what
do
were
it
those
in
other
a trial
features?
first. Don't overwrite your data.
Yeah, good point.
That's for sure. And then it's recertification time, right?
You had other desktop ones I'm supposed to remind you that I cut you off on. What were those?
Oh, some small superficial things. On all reports now in QuickBooks Desktop, there is a search feature. So you can, if you're looking for a specific dollar amount or something on there, you can search within the report itself, as well as something that I had noticed, but I told my client about it and he's not seeing it. So I still need to double check, and checked everywhere. I even wrote a blog article about it because I was so excited about it because I thought I found like something that was missing. But when you have a bill of materials, so we're talking about inventory with assembly items, and you have a bill of materials with a sub-assembly as part of the bill of materials. Like if you're building a computer, and you have to build something that goes into the mainframe of the computer, or a bicycle, and the shifter assembly going into the entire assembly item. When you print your bill of materials, it only shows that first level typically. But a lot of times, and especially in this client's case, components of all of the sub-assemblies and see what does it take to make one complete finished good to make sure that they have enough on hand, right? So printing that bill of materials was a little problematic because it would only print the bill of materials and the sub-assemblies, and they had several nested assemblies. And in 2024, latest version, I was able to have a sub-assembly be a bill of materials, and then when you print a shortage report, like you go to a build, make it pending, and then print the shortage report, it printed out all of those components. So I was really excited about that, but they're still having problems with it. So I still need to make sure that's the possibility. They may have multiple nested sub-assemblies, but I was really excited to see that at least one level deep, you could see all of the components. And then every list is now searchable, so you can find within the list as long as you're on the latest release. There was in the Facebook groups, and I don't have the post of that, but there was a breakage in an update. It looks like one release of release 13 for 2024 broke some memorized reports, but they did fix that. Assuming that you never had this problem and it's now safe to update to the latest version without fear of breaking your memorized reports.
Cool. Dan, did you close the poll if you want to do that? And as I talk real quickly about the research stuff here, recertification is about to open back up April 28th. Means my good friend Linda, while I'm flying back, will be getting her certification done so she can be the very first person, as always, in the world. And it's open from April 28th through June 30th. Now, something cool they're doing is every week during that period of time, anybody who's completed their recertification will be entered in for a drawing for a $250 Visa gift card, which means if you do it at the very beginning, your odds are dramatically better since there's a lot of us that procrastinate to the very end. So you have a better chance to be drawn for that Visa gift card. The exam is supposed to cover additional information this time on the recertification portion of it. Of course, QuickBooks Online Accountant, the Enterprise Suite stuff, as well as Intuit Assist, and the normal, a lot of the other stuff as well. So there was a question also in the chat here in Zoom, so I'll draw attention to it as well. QuickBooks Level 1 it's basically equivalent to what was the basic before. Level 2 is equivalent of the advanced. It's so they can continue to add different levels with different things and make it a little bit, since they use the word advanced on everything nowadays, they want to.
One less thing to call advanced is a good thing.
They'll come out with 2+ next, so that'll be good.
Right. 2.1. All right.
I think it's worth staying recertified, Lynette. I'm going to say it because trust me, if you don't recert and you have to redo it all again, it's horrible. Recert.
So some things that you noticed there about, am I going crazy?
Yeah. I feel like every time we should have this little slide up and we can just tell people about bugs and glitches that we're experiencing or hearing about. So recently, search function was just absolutely horrible. If you were just trying to use the magnifying glass to do a quick search, it wouldn't pop an answer. You'd have to go to the advanced area. Then you could search it and get stuff to pull correct. And then bad URLs were getting created all the time and giving us the smoking machine, basically. Dan, is that your computer there?
I think so. With everything that's going on here. All right. So I wanted to talk about this Facebook post. Trying to summarize it because there's a lot to read here. But basically what was happening is that their client wasn't signed up for QuickBooks payments. They sent out an invoice. QuickBooks gave the client the option to pay via ACH. The client did, and they got charged the fee, which that's a thing, right? So even if you have payments and you disable all of the payment options, when it sends the invoice, it will offer the customer to pay by ACH, assuming that they agree to the fee, which is not the ProAdvisor rates, it's the standard rates, which is 1% of the transaction, no cap, right? So they got charged $25 for a $600 invoice. That does not seem 1%. Just
no.
Doing the math here. I think they paid by credit card. That may be the case, or maybe there's a minimum. I don't know.
Maybe like 4. It's actually almost 4.25% if I'm going to be nerdy.
But then what happens is now this is a proof of concept for QuickBooks to come back to the client and say, look how easy it was to get paid with QuickBooks payments. And now they didn't want it. They didn't want to sign up for it, but in order for them to receive the funds that the client decided to pay for, they would have to pay, or they would have to sign up for the service in order for them to do it. Now, in this case, they would get the full $600 because the client is paying the fee. It's an interesting way to position the service, I think is the nicest way to put it. Matthew, you were shaking your head. You did not agree.
No, I'm really disappointed on this. I guess I see where they're coming from. I've heard about this before. First time I heard about this was from a good friend that was experiencing this. They had merchant processing. The person had merchant processing set up, and for some reason, it still pushed through and was asking them if they wanted to did the whole $25 thing and gave them this thing, do you want to do this? I know for sure that person that sent the invoice was set up with Intuit Merchant Processing at the time. And I tried finding out what this was about back then and couldn't find it anymore. Talked to Intuit support, they couldn't tell us. I don't like this part. The concept of it is have your client pay your fee instead. From my understanding, there's certain states you can't even legally do that in. So I wonder if they're paying attention to that, if they're trying to do that as well.
Yeah.
That just makes us look bad, especially if we don't know about it. Like we're trying to charge our client. That's
exactly. And I know that's a common question. Like I'm getting annoyed with the amount of convenience fees that I'm now having to pay because people are doing that and itemizing out the transaction fee for payment processors and calling it a convenience fee. This is one way to address that. You can turn off all payment options and the client should be able to opt in to paying the fee. So to them, it's a convenience fee, but you're just not getting any of the.
So Dan, does that mean you took off the last polling question? We're not going to do the convenience fee for this episode?
Maybe not.
Okay.
But we did this at the workshop. We did a session on this a little over a year ago. But this is talking about how Intuit is creating payments accounts and giving people the option to be able to pay by that. And again, this then puts those funds in a holding bin, because it's almost like you have to be ahead of Intuit when this happens and communicate that, because without them knowing that what's actually going to be happening. And of course, this is all for new accounts, right? So this will not be something that a brand new person to QuickBooks would be aware of, even if they aren't. But they're going to they've set up the payment account and half set it up so that when the customer pays, then they have to finish setting up the account and applying for it in order for those funds to be released, which if the company is not approved, I don't know what happens to those funds. Do they give it back? Do they refund it to the customer? Is that a headache? Let's say they're in the adult industry or one of the other industries that the QB payments does not support. Who knows? But by doing it this way, that bypasses you as the accountant. And
what if it bounces? I'm sorry, I just thought of this. What if the payment bounces or something, right? They charge that fee. Are they going to still take you didn't ask for it to be set up that way. Are you going to still get your money? Or are they going to take it back from you? And then you
Yeah, I would not want to be on the other end of that call if that's the case. But if the customer pays, QuickBooks user needs to finish applying, and they're going to get, at that point, the MSRP rates, which are higher. There's no cap on the ACH fee. And if you're signed up for revenue share, then you won't get any of that either. Whoops. Nope.
That audio worked. Okay. So.
That audio worked. But apparently there's no audio in the tags video. But a lot of people don't even know that there's a revenue share option. So we wanted to talk a little bit about that. With payments, you get a 20% revenue share for 3 years. It's only for payments. You can also do QuickBooks Online subscriptions and get that. But the good news is with payments, the client gets the lower ProAdvisor preferred rates, right? So and there's no cost if they never use it, unless they have disabled all of those things. And we talk about the other situation. But if you go into your benefits inside of the QBOA under ProAdvisor, you can see under the discounts for your firm, QuickBooks Payments, there's the revenue share portal, or get the discount. You can share that with your client. Other cool thing that I noticed is that if you are enrolled into this revenue share program,
when you create a QBO subscription directly within QuickBooks, you can opt them in at your rates. So it's already set up for you to be able to partake in that revenue share option with payments. We do have a payments resource over at School of Bookkeeping. It's a course we tried to scour the web and put it all in one place, and it's totally free because I do like the idea of QuickBooks payments. I don't like this idea in QuickBooks payments with what they're doing, but G.I. Joe said, knowing's half the battle. And if you don't want to refer clients, you can refer them through us. So it's appreciate that. We'll do that. We are running a little over. If you can stay, great. If not, we know it's a busy day.
Yeah, it's just taxes. Don't worry. You got extra time.
I'm trying not to say anything political.
Okay. So I use the QuickBooks account tools today to write off about 100 AR invoices to bad debts. I had to close books set to 12/30/2024 so I could still record my year and adjustments 2031. So after writing all of those invoices off, I found that they were all written off using the original dates of the invoices. So
this is one of those things that it's one of the nuances of QuickBooks Online with the accountant tools, right? When you go to write off invoices, the way that QuickBooks does it inside of QuickBooks Online Accountant is instead of making a transaction today to write off all of that bad debt, what it does is it goes to each individual transaction and discounts it to bad debt. And that means that every transaction is now modified on the date that it was that it's the transaction date instead of the date that you're actually recognizing. There's some wind going on.
It's a ghost.
Yeah.
It's the ghost of tax past.
Yeah, the ghost of write-off past. It just passed through here. I think we had some kind of dust devil or something. Linda, are you okay? She's south.
So what would you do in this? Instead of using the write-off on those, I would assume probably what I would do is create. It's hard because you'd have to do it by per customer. Mm-hmm. You could do an adjustment in the current year, doing like an adjusting. You could do one big journal entry, right? Since you can do multiple ARs. And offer credit that way and then close them all out to one place. But you'd have to go back and apply the amount to each of the customers after you do each line would be providing the credit to clear out the
creating credit memos would probably be the most preferred thing to do. But to your point, yes, you've got to go in and apply those credits so that those invoices don't show as open. So yeah, going in and doing one big journal entry would probably be the simplest one transaction to do because you're going to do it all in one day. It'll be recognized on that day. You would just still need to go through all of those open invoices and apply those.
So have to receive the payment against it.
All right. So our last polling question, because we're coming in for a landing here. Was this helpful? Because we certainly want it to be helpful and learn something new. And we appreciate you joining us here today. Matthew, any closing thoughts?
Yeah, actually, so Linda put in the Facebook feed, could you fix the dates with Right Tool? That would, I don't know, it'd be a good suggestion. Maybe Tool could do something about it, but it would be fine. Finding them would be hard because they're not going to, you have to go all the way back and find just the right ones. So I think that would be more challenging. Oh, wait, no. What if you went into maybe this? She may be onto something. If you went into the bad debt ledger with Right Tool, you could batch update the dates possibly inside the bad ledger and push those dates forward, possibly. Never tried it. I'd have to see if it's a possibility, but
you're talking about if you went through the write-off tool and it then
No,
discount.
go to the chart of account to where it got pushed to instead. Isn't it going to a bad debt expense?
Yeah.
So if you basically went to your bad debt expense chart of account, go to the actual ledger, not just the report.
Well,
And by
small snag there is that an expense account doesn't have a ledger.
that's stupid. Okay. You could filter the ledger. Never mind. There's a way.
I was thinking of paying all the invoices, but you still have to do payments by putting it to some other balance sheet.
Trying to fix the
and
mess,
then using that to go to bad debt. But
if we had to fix the mess, the thought was if you went into the bank ledger or whatever, you could still filter down to bad debt expense there on your main ledger. You got to find a pattern in your main bank ledger. When you do that, shrink it down, then you could probably use Right Tool to change the date. I forget who was asking it. If you want to reach out, we could try to jump on a Zoom and see if we can mess up your books even more if you want.
That's awfully nice of you. As always, we have, if you don't want to talk to Intuit or you want to bypass, you want to talk to us directly at School of Bookkeeping, we have quick answers for that. It's actually been interesting over the last couple of weeks that the quick answers have been quick. Normally, there's a lot of research and things like that go into them, but lately it's been, how do I do this? I give them an answer, they're on their way, and they don't have to approve anything of who they are because they can't get to me without passing that hoop. You can always check that out there over at School of Bookkeeping. So we really appreciate you joining us here today. Next time, we are going to be having all about keyboard shortcuts. So we'll be talking about shortcuts because who doesn't like a good shortcut? Especially both of us with our ADD squirrel brains, we like to take shortcuts.
Yep. Love it.
All right. So we appreciate you hanging out a little extra time with us. And we'll see you next time on the QB Power Hour. And I hope everybody has a great day. And we'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.
We hope you enjoyed listening to the QB Power Hour podcast. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in our Facebook group. You can find those resources and much more at qbpowerhour.com.